Good evening, everyone. Thanks. Okay, in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Act, Meeting Act, the Asbury Park Board of Education have provided adequate notice of this meeting by sending a notice of the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press, the New Poster on January 14, 2022, via email. Copies of this notice has been placed at the Administrative Building, Bulletin Board, District Schools, Asbury Park Municipal Building, Asbury Park Police Department, and filed with the City Clerk on January 14, 2022. Our mission statement. Asbury Park School District will provide all students with a comprehensive and progressive education where everyone possesses the skills and character to succeed in a diverse and evolving global society. Roll call, please.
Ms. Halls? Ms. Breach? Mr. Grillo? Here. Mr. LaRocca? Here. Mr. Remy? Ms. Ricks? Mr. Saunders? Ms. Lazinski?
Here.
Ms. Cook?
Here. Please rise and flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I am not.
Okay, so you
Sure.
Okay, it's time to start with our committee reports. Please, finance.
The Finance Committee met to again re-evaluate the tentative budget, which then was dealt with at a public meeting last week. So now we'll be presenting the final budget. Mr. Aikman, you'll do the PowerPoint later in the meeting, and we'll just report that way.
Yes, we did have 3 meetings, if you may recall, over the course of the last 3 weeks to discuss the budget and other issues. The budget presentation for the 2023 year school budget will be at the 7 o'clock meeting.
And that concludes finance.
Yeah, this is the committee for athletics. We met on April 13th. We went over the athletic banquet, information about that, and we went over the fall sports schedule, coach hiring and postings, summer and fall openings, and there's going to be team pictures and senior headshots for the spring sports. And there was a discussion about field usage by a group that was coming on the field too early while we were still having baseball and softball practice. And I don't know if, I know that Mr. Jamino was going to contact the head of the organization to try to resolve the issue. I don't know if I hadn't heard whether there'd been a change or not. Dr. Howard, do you know if that situation has been mediated?
Mr. Trevino said he was going to speak with him. I'm not sure if he actually did.
And that's everything from the athletics.
Yes.
Brad.
Okay, the C&I committee did meet on April 12th, and we discussed a couple of things. There are a few things that's happening at the Parent Center, which I'm pretty happy about. And one is the social conscious project at the Dorothy L. Parent Center. Also, the health fair and two-step entertainment to provide DJ services for the community health fair. And as you can see, I'm still out of breath because I practically ran Yes, because I practically ran over. Yes.
All right, we talked about the community health fair. That's the yearly fair over on Prospect Avenue. It's going to happen this year again. Also, approving for recruiters to promote community and new initiatives offered by the school district is on the agenda. Another Dream Academy, Miss Wright has to have some additional days during the summer because of the schedule in Brookdale. Also, partnership with the high school and the Boys and Girls Club for mentoring services, that's going to start. Another item is the high school is going to have a chess club. The math teacher, Mr. Provenza, is going to volunteer to do it for 7th and 8th graders so they have something to do after school. Chess is a wonderful sport. It is a sport, and I know that we were all kind of excited for that. There's one more. So we got here. Oh, that's it. Yep.
I was thinking of the building and ground meeting before, but
Super have yours. Your report, please.
Good evening, everyone. Right before we start our Student of the Month presentation, would like to announce that we had our monthly Student Advisory Committee meeting, and if Mrs. Lau would just come to the microphone really quick. Yes, ma'am. And just give us a summation of what you observed from our Student Advisory Council. I greatly appreciate that.
She wasn't prepared to give.
Yes, I know. Yes, ma'am. I know I just put you on the spot, but I know I could talk about it, but you participated, and I would like to get just your feedback.
Well, good evening to everyone, and first of all, hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Good, because we're having difficulty hearing from your position, but I'm honored. I greet you today in this brand new day, and I'm excited for what I experienced the other afternoon with the Zoom presentation of our Student Advisory Committee. The students were strong, they were clear, they listened, they were articulate, and I'm excited that we're moving forward. And I do believe, very honestly, that these young people will make a difference in this district as others watch them and listen to them, and especially with the families, those that are supporting their children. They are going to turn this city around educationally. I do believe that. So thank you for this honor. Thank you for the opportunity to be once again a part of my community. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. With that, we'll do our Student of the Month presentation. We'll start with Thurgood Marshall Elementary School and Principal Dr. Lauren Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Jackson, the principal of Thurgood Marshall Elementary School. I am so excited and delighted to honor our Student of the Month, a second grade student who is so kind, so supportive. Her teachers have described her as willing to learn, always hands-on in the classroom, coming into school with a smile on her face, and just a positive role model for all those around her. Miss Sophia Chavez Garcia, please come up and get your award.
Mom, you want to come up back? Mom? Can I go?
And Sophia, on behalf of our Thurgood Marshall School and Miss Bravo and Miss Vacilados, here is a bag filled with all of your favorite things that we talked about in my office this week. It might be heavier than you are.
Next, we'll have Miss Thea M. Jackson Byers from Bradley Elementary School.
Good evening. My name is Thea M. Jackson Byers. I'm the proud principal of Bradley Elementary School. At this time, it is an honor to introduce our student of the month. Our student of the month is actually a first grade student. His teacher has described him as honorable, like his favorite superhero, Iron Man. That is none other than Mr. Dante Brown, our Bradley Elementary School student of the month.
Mom?
And as always, Dante, thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for everything that you bring to Bradley Elementary.
1, 2, 3.
And so this is for you. These are some this is some Bradley Elementary School Asbury wear. And Mom, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for blessing us with Dante. So if you don't mind, could you please wear this and say, I'm a proud Bradley Elementary School parent? My mom always said, give them someone their flowers while they can smell them. And we don't say thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson Byers. Next, we'll have Mr. Perry Medina, principal from MLK Upper Elementary.
All right, good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce a very special student. She's a fourth grader. Her grades are excellent. She maintains nothing less than a 95 in our classes. She is also one of the kindest and gentlest spirits that I know. She is truly an honor and a gift in our school. Leslie Galvan Manchame. I'm so very proud to call her my student, and I'm very excited about what comes next for her. Parents, come on up.
Thank you. Next, we have from our high school building, Dr. Christy Howard Morris.
Good evening, everyone. Our teachers, they have a committee and they choose the student of the month each month. And this month they chose Matthew Ramirez Flores. Matthew's a delightful student in the classroom. He challenges his teachers. I'm told that he acts as an attorney in the classroom to make his point. But usually he wins, but he's very respectful. He works hard. And again, he is the student of the month, and we have this for him. Mom, come on up. And we have this for, I'm sorry. And Matthew would like to give this to you. It has some water bottles and some t-shirts for you and Mom from the Asbury Park High School, okay? Okay. And a book bag. All right.
Thank you very much. Madam President, that concludes my presentation for the 6 o'clock.
If all the parents want to take the kids home at this time, feel free to. Yeah. There's a wait, so. Before we open public comment, we have a comment from our lawyer.
Okay, in accordance with Board Policy 0167, the Asbury Park Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and other matters of importance, and provides members of the public with the opportunity to express themselves on school matters of community interest. The public comment portion of the meeting is not a question and answer session, and all public comments shall be directed to the board president or the presiding officer of the meeting. Members of the public who wish to make public comments must be recognized by the presiding officer, which is this evening the president, and provide his or her name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable. All public comments shall be directed to the presiding officer and are limited to 3 minutes in duration. Members of the public who do not follow the foregoing rules and/or interfere with the orderly operation of the board meeting may be removed from the meeting.
At this time, we'll open public comment.
Hi, everyone. I don't know if this is on. Can you guys hear me? My name is Deborah Lorenz. I live at 200 DeWitt Avenue. My son is a student in the Asbury Park School District. He is a special needs student here. I have lots of concerns before you guys approve your budget. I'm very concerned for all of the special need kids in the district. They are not prepared for the world. Next year, he is going to the 7th and 8th grade building. We need to start a life skills program. Before you approve that budget, the one thing on your agenda is eliminating a speech clinician and eliminating teachers, paraprofessionals. Our kids need so much support. I got up to go first because I've left my husband home alone with my special needs kid. So I want to run out of here because he is home chasing him all by himself. And if you think I'm joking, ask Mr. Ruiz. They take a lot out of you, and in a classroom, we need as much support as we can get, and they need as much conversation skills as they can get. So before you eliminate these positions from your docket, please rethink it. And when they get to the 7th and 8th grade building, they need to have a program in place to teach them life skills. We do not currently have one. Please reevaluate the system over there. Our kids and your population of kids with special needs is just getting larger, not smaller. The class sizes of kids with autism are bigger, not smaller. These kids need to be prepared. It is your job to help us prepare them. They are going to be with you until they are 21, and they are not prepared for the outside world. My husband and I do everything we can. The level of transparency in the district is also not where it needs to be. I'm a special ed teacher. I've also worked with adults with special needs. So the ARC meeting that I attended a couple of weeks ago, of which I was the only parent to attend, I already knew a lot of the information. Other parents didn't even know that there was an ARC meeting to let the parents know how to register their kids for adult special needs, which they need to do by age 14, or their children are going to end up on a waiting list. And God forbid if they pass away and die before their children are even making it out into the world. So you guys need to get on the ball and get your social workers to get out there and tell the parents how to start registering their kids for adult services and to help prepare our children for the real world. Because if I drop dead tomorrow, I need to know that my son is going to be okay and that somebody is going to help take care of him in the real world. I've got a copy of that presentation if you guys want to know what we're expecting from you as far as the district is concerned. Thank you.
If you want to write down your email before I leave, I can.
Good evening, my name is Nina Sumlin, I reside at 1101 Bangs Avenue. I'm not really here to make a statement, I just want you guys to know, during our board meeting, the only person that we can actually hear is the attorney. Everybody else, when you're talking, everybody's volume seems to get lower. So if you guys can either pull the mics closer or speak up louder, so we back here can hear you, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mrs. Anderson Bray. I reside in Asbury. I'm going to piggyback off of this parent. It amazes me how all of you with degrees and accolades all this year have disappointed me, and all I've heard is I'm sorry. I took the time to take my daughter, which she'd been well deserved of her honor roll certificate, sat there an hour just to be told, oh, it's canceled and it's postponed. You guys do a lot of budget cuts, which I don't understand, and you say you want these students to succeed. My daughter as well is autistic. You're taking out the psychologist. You're taking out the child study team. You're taking out everything that it seems that our children need for tools for this life. I'm not understanding what are all these budget cuts. Are you taking out of your pay? Because honestly, if you are really working here and you're here for the pay and not for our children, what are you here for? Because I'm tired of being nice with you all. I'm tired of being professional. I'm tired of being disrespected. I'm tired of being belittled. I'm tired of being smiled in my face while you're not doing nothing but getting paid on the 15th and the 30th. I've had it with you all. I've had it. I've had it. I want to say so much to you all, but I know you have the cops out there. You'll think I'm uncouth, I'm ignorant. But at this point, I just never want to see any of y'all personally outside of this job.
Good evening, guys. My name is Dr. Wilson. I live at 1026 Monroe in Asbury. I don't have any kids in the district. I have a bunch of nieces and nephews and cousins here. And I'm going to piggyback off of what both of the parents said as far as the budget cuts. I see all these jobs that you guys are cutting are like ground level, whereas nobody from central office, none of those positions are getting cut. You're cutting positions that affect the kids directly. There's like the safety as far as security officers, the social worker, the guidance counselor, everything that are going to affect these kids, as part of special needs kids, all in general, the public, K through 12, seven teachers. That's a lot. You guys are already struggling with teachers, struggling with guidance counselors. How are these kids going to get into college when you have nobody to guide them? Where are they going to go after this? We are already in a dangerous area. So now when they get out of this dangerous area, they're going to go nowhere because you guys are failing them, because you're cutting everything that they need so you guys can make your pockets bigger, so you guys can what? Because you're not doing anything. Nothing of positive that y'all are doing when you cut all these important jobs. And even you guys' faces don't look like you care. You guys all look like you're going to go home and laugh and not care that you're hurting the kids, that you're getting paid to better. And I really hope you guys think about that, because as parents and aunts and cousins of the kids here, we feel failed. And we feel like all of you failed us and you're failing our kids and the future generations to come. This is going to be even more dangerous. They're going to leave this high school and go right to the gangs, right to the jails, and y'all going to complain when the high school is dangerous. There's no security there. Your staff is at risk too. In the beginning of the school year, the high school got shut down because of a violent act. My mom works there. If my mom didn't come home, then what? You guys are going to lose your staff because you have nobody to protect them. You're going to lose kids because they're violent. And they're going to, attack each other, and you're going to have nobody to protect them. Think about that when you go home. Okay, guys? Thank you.
Good evening. Sheila Brazil, 1200 Jump Street, Asbury Park, New Jersey. Couple of things. We have a parental involvement policy that I think is 104.5 that has to be going over every year in September, so it can be approved in October, and it has to, be looked at and revised. I don't think it has been looked at or revised since 2011. I think I was still on the part of maybe on the board then, or just getting ready to go on there.
May I, Ms. Brazil, which policy are you referring to? I didn't hear.
The parental involvement policy, where 10% of the budget is set aside for the parents. Set aside for the parents, and where you could do parent conference. We used to go, things might have changed with the No Child Left Behind. I'm sure we still a Title I school in this district. Is still a Title I. So I don't know if anybody know about the Title I. I got, you could look it up, but then they have an E something they did from the state, for the state sending down stuff for the school district supposed to do for the kids. But there's probably always, when you get money from the federal government, but I know it got cut, but whatever you get, 10% is supposed to be set aside for parental involvement. And that's we used to have parent advisory council. We used to have district-wide parent liaison, because Ms. Ricks used to be the parent liaisons in the district. But there's a Title I thing for all the parents, for Asbury Park School District, Neptune, all the, little small school districts. And then that also, which I say has not been going over since 2011. When I went on the internet and looked it up, the last time we had for this district was 2011. That's when Dr. Lou was here. So we haven't done that in years. So it's supposed to be signed off, have a meeting in September and signed off in October by a parent, a legitimate parent. So I think we might, I don't know if we're in compliance or not, but we could be not. I don't know. I think a lot of things has changed since I was really on the board and involved in that stuff. But we do. Somewhere supposed to be 10% of the budget set aside for the parents to have, if we used to do it at the we used to go at the Title I conferences. We stopped doing that. We had a couple of conferences at the middle school when Mr. Recollet came. But we haven't done that in a while, from what I understand. So I used to attend. I think last time I attended, Janaya was in the 6th or the 7th grade. Now she's a senior at the high school, so that's been a minute. So if we can get back to that. And also on Mondays, we do it Empower Parent University. And it's where a group from Kane, Dr. Jefferson, it's for parents, credit, different, just to make sure the parent okay. We have 3 parents on there every week. And I don't know if they don't have a list of emails of the parents or how, but we only have 3 parents. They be the same 3 parents every week. So we need to really, if we want parents really involved, we need to start getting the information out there. And just please, I sound like James Brown, don't I? Stop saying this on the internet, because not all the parents do the internet. If we have an all call, if we could do that, that'd probably be a lot better than just saying everything on social media, because a lot of parents don't go on social media. Thank you, and be blessed.
Hello, everyone. So I am a resident of Asbury Park.
Hello?
So I'm a resident of Asbury Park, and I used to have children that attended the school of Asbury Park, but this year I switched them out and sent them to charter because I was already unpleased with the direction that Asbury Park was heading. After going to charter, I'm not really seeing any difference, so I was looking to actually bring my students back into the district. But after seeing this reduction in force, I'm trying to figure out why I would even consider. You are removing the faculty from the school that actually inspire these students. It is not the administration that inspire these students. It is not central office that inspire these students. It is the teachers, all right? It's a more probability that my child will encounter a security office, a maintenance worker, the attendance officer, the teacher aide, before they encounter any one of you guys at central office. So I'm not understanding how this is benefiting our children. Yes, there may be some fat that could be trimmed from the budget, but laying off teachers and the force that actually drives the school district is just not it. It's not the way to go. All right? They are the ones that alter the mindsets of these students when they're at home and they have parents who can't help them with the schoolwork or can't really give them direction because their parents didn't have directions themselves. It's the teachers that alter that mindset, not you guys. All right? It's the teachers that inspire, not you guys. It's the teachers that motivate, not you guys. And if you put alter, inspire, and motivate together, it allows our children to aim higher. These cuts are not allowing our children to aim higher. All right? So I don't understand them. Maybe it's not for me to understand, but in the age of technology, why you would remove a technology coach? Social worker, we already have so many troubled children. All right? We already know about the unreported HIV incidents that happen throughout Asbury all the time. All right? Who do you think will help these children deal with these unreported and unattended to HIV incidents? A social worker, a guidance counselor. You want to remove 7 elementary students when elementary is the foundation and the basis of the education that these students will receive going forward all the way up to college. Elementary is the foundation. You want to remove 7. It's bad enough that you guys already have social studies, science, and things of those as an elective and not a main portion of the curriculum anymore, but you want to remove those teachers as well. It's not making sense. And I don't see how this will be of any service to the students. And that's what the board is supposed to be here to do, to be a service to the students, not yourselves, not to the administration.
Any? We have a public comment in the next section. Okay, at this time, we'll close public comment.
What will happen is we'll have a budget presentation. So some of your questions, particularly those of you who made comments about the budget, will be addressed. In particular to the exact funding and cost, the exorbitant amount of about $11 million that we're sending to charter schools. We'll also be addressing the hardworking faculty and the blatant misconception about the staff here in this district and the hard work that our students do. So the commentary that was just provided about this district does not represent the staff, does not represent the expectations that the staff have, and we're dealing with $8 million budget cuts. So when we say that, when we say we take the education of the students here as paramount, I can tell you without any hesitation, you're not getting a better quality education at a charter school than you will be getting here. You're not getting better offerings outside of this district that you're getting here. And so we'll address our budget issues during the next 7 o'clock. So if you want to hear and see where our allocation of funds are, also the history of our funding from S2, the $8 million budget cut that we received this year, and our decreasing student enrollment. So if, ma'am, you want to bring your child back, we'll have another student here in order so we won't have to cut additional teachers because of the enrollment. But we'll be able to address some of those things directly when we do our budget presentation. So please stay so you can see exactly where the allocation of funds are going and how we support our students here.
Before we go into exec, whereas the Public Meeting Act allows for exclusion from discussion at the public portion of the meeting of certain matters as outlined below. And whereas the Asbury Park Board of Education was to discuss such matters made and will make discussions public when popular conclusion has been reached. Now therefore be resolved that on April 27, 2022, that the Asbury Park, New Jersey, for the purpose as outlined and described below, upon return action may be taken. Confidential matters per suit on court order, impact rights to receive federal funds, unwarranted invasion of individual privacy, collective bargaining, acquisition of real property or investments of funds, public safety procedures, litigations or contract matters, or contact client privileges, personnel matters, or imposition of penalties upon an individual. Motion, please.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Members of the public who are here, the board's going to go into executive session. It's expected that executive session will last approximately 20 minutes. The board will be returning to public session at or about 7 o'clock. So we will be back in this room at or about 7 o'clock. And at that time, we will start our 7 o'clock meeting. So thank you for your patience.
In accordance with the provision of the Open Public Meeting Act, the Asbury Park Board of Education has provided adequate notice of this meeting by sending a notice of the time, date, location, and extent known. The agenda of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press, the New Coaster, on January 14, 2022 via email. Copies of this notice has been placed at the Administrative Building, Bulletin Board, District Schools, Asbury Park Municipal Building, Asbury Park Police Department, and filed with the City Clerk on January 14, 2022. Our mission statement: Asbury Park District will provide all students with a comprehensive and progressive education where everyone possesses the skills and character to succeed in a diverse and evolving global society. Roll call, please.
Ms. Halls?
Here.
Ms. Breach? Mr. Grillo?
Here.
Mr. LaRocca?
Here.
Mr. Remy? Here. Ms. Ricks?
Here.
Mr. Saunders?
Here.
Ms. Lozinski?
Here.
Ms. Coco?
Here, please rise to the flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. We're going to start with our Staff Members of the Month presentation, starting with Mr. Perry Medina from MLK Upper Elementary.
Good evening. No worries.
Good evening, once again. My staff member of the month is Ms. Jillian McManus, child psychologist. And with the round of applause, you can understand her popularity, but it goes beyond that. Jillian is a dedicated member of the Asbury Park School District. She is someone I rely on daily. Her insight, dedication, and determination is something that is not only inspiring to students, but to staff alike. I'm truly honored and blessed to have her on my team. Thank you, Jillian, for being here today.
Ms. Thea Jackson Byers.
Good evening. Again, my name is Thea M. Jackson Byers, building principal of Bradley Elementary School. It is by no accident that during the month of April, we celebrate paraprofessionals. It is an honor and privilege to introduce our Bradley Elementary School Staff Member of the Month as Miss Carmina Napoleon. She is an awesome and pleasure to work with. And like myself, I see my likeness in her, so thank you so much, Miss N. I know we tricked you. We sorry. Miss W, thank you. And this is for you, Ms.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
And just to let you know, Miss Donna, if you would on Monday, you will be giving your parking space to Miss N.
Dr. Jackson?
Good evening, everyone. It is with great pleasure and privilege that I announce the Staff of the Month for Thurgood Marshall Elementary School as someone who is often behind the scenes, but so important to the makeup of our school. Her colleagues describe her as supportive, present, hands-on, and always willing to do the extra mile for staff and students alike. Our phenomenal, amazing, talented guidance counselor, Ms. Jory Artis. Congratulations.
And Dr. Howard Morris?
Good evening, I'm Dr. Howard Morris, the acting principal at Asbury Park High School, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our Teacher of the Month, Ms. Jessica Daniels. I know Ms. Daniels does not like a lot of attention, and those people who are usually the hard workers are the ones who don't like the attention. I came here 7 years ago, and when I was at several athletic functions, I used to see Ms. Daniels at soccer games in the rain, basketball games, 2 miles away at other places. She goes everywhere her students are. And she understands that the relationship with her students makes a big difference in the classroom. When I say there are no discipline issues coming out of her classroom, I mean 0. So again, thank you, Ms. Daniels, for the work that you do. Not only do we respect your teachers, your colleagues respect them as well. Thank you.
Board members, we have a presentation from our district auditor, Holman Frenier Allison. Mr. Chris Bodecker is a partner, or managing partner there at the firm. He was the lead on the team that visited the district this year to do the 2021 audit. The board is required to accept that audit in the minutes of its meeting. So Mr. Bodecker is here to give you the highlights of the audit and answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Jeff. Not quite a partner yet, but I will let Jerry know you said that. My name is Chris Bodecker, as he said. I was in charge of the audit. First thing I want to do is I want to thank Jeff and Ivy for all the time that they give us, because during an audit, we ask a lot of questions, we request a lot of items, and they are always there with an answer. They're always there for us. So thank you. So usually these audits are due on December 5th. This is the June 30, 21 audit. Due to delays in reports from the state that has to do with pension and a bunch of other stuff that no one really cares about, those deadlines have been pushed back. This year it ended up getting pushed back to March 15th because the reports didn't come out until late January, early February, around that time. So this report was filed March 10th. Everything was filed timely, so we were in accordance with that. The next thing that everyone wants to know about is we had an unmodified opinion, which means that's the cleanest opinion that we can render. The one thing I want to point out this year compared to prior years, in our opinion, if you look at it, is there's this thing called an emphasis of matter paragraph. What that is there was a new standard this year that just kind of moved how we presented certain numbers around. So this just kind of explains that that's why the report might look a little different if you compare them side to side with the prior year. There's no net difference, it's just an allocation thing. Right in the beginning of the audit, there's 2 documents I like bringing people's attention to. It's called the Letter of Transmittal and the Management's Discussion and Analysis. Really, these pages kind of summarize all the stuff behind it that makes it a little bit easier to digest. This report is put together by management and the auditors kind of in conjunction. There are 2 additional opinions in the back of the audit on internal control and on internal control of major programs. So every year we're required to do what's called a single audit. It's based off of the expenditures on the grants that the district receives, and depending on how much is spent on those grants, we have to do a slightly deeper dive into certain ones depending than would normally happen during our normal course of our audit. The programs we looked at were the state aid, and then the federal programs was Title I, CARES, and the Coronavirus Relief Fund. We got a lot of practice looking at CARES and Coronavirus Relief Fund through all the districts last year, as we all know why. Unmodified opinion there too, everything was clean, so we were happy with that. Lastly, the only numbers I'm going to talk about, because that's boring, is our fund balance, which you can find on the C1. We had about $12.5 million at the end of last year. Now, these numbers are divvied up in certain ways. So our excess surplus was about 4.1, which was utilized in our 21-22 budget, the current year. Excess surplus, the excess surplus for the 22-23 budget was about 1.4. Capital reserve was about $1 million. Maintenance reserve was $365,000. Emergency reserve about $510,000. Reserve for unemployment claims. This is that new reserve that was created by that GASB standard I talked about earlier with the emphasis matter. That was about $80,000. Assigned, designated for subsequent years. That's also money that was used in the 21-22 budget. That was about 2.2. Encumbrances of $157,000, and then unassigned at 2.58. That's really all I have. I also want to say there are no comments, no findings, so there's no corrective action plan necessary for the board to take. Jeff and Ivy and the entire finance office do a great job. They're incredibly helpful for us, so I want to thank them again. And now if there's any questions, I really don't have anything else. All good?
We have one question.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
With regard to the reserves, do you comment on a state standard or accountability standard? We have to dip into those reserves somewhat for this upcoming budget due to the severity of our state aid cut. Do you comment on those to any degree?
By comment, do you mean do we have a comment in the report about how the reserves are currently stated?
I didn't see that, but a value, any kind of standard you're following?
No, not necessarily. It's very dependent on the district and how they kind of operate from year to year. Where are we? Capital reserve. I mean, normally we do transfer money into the reserves. We didn't have the opportunity to do that last year, obviously because we keep on getting cut. But it's not, I wouldn't say there's any alarm for the amounts.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Ruiz. So tonight we have the presentation of the final budget for the 2023 school year. On April 14th, the board met and reviewed the tentative budget and approved that tentative budget. That tentative budget was then sent to the county for review. The county reviewed it, made comments back to us. We incorporated those comments into the budget and into the software and some of the narratives that exist within the software, and made those corrections and worked with the county in a sort of back and forth with those comments. And they eventually approved our budget as suitable for the county, and that's what's being presented tonight to the board. There is a difference in what was presented on the 14th versus what is being presented tonight. Board members, you'll see you have a handout marked number 5, adoption of 2022-2023 school year budget and tax levy - revised. There is a change here where we are increasing our grant allocation, our special revenue fund expense from $19,363,511, which you'll see is blacklined, to $19,847,436. And that is to incorporate 5 additional positions, or not cut 5 positions, if you will, utilizing some of our ESSER funds to fund those positions going forward. So when we do vote on the budget, it'll be on that revised amount with the inclusion of that additional grant money that's allocated towards those positions. Slide, please.
I'm sorry, what page was that on?
You have a handout, a single page handout. And when we get to the agenda in half an hour or so, whenever that is, I'll bring that up again and point that out for you. When we talk about the budget and how the budget is comprised, or what the components of the budget are, we usually talk about 3 buckets. We talk about state aid, and that is funds provided by the state to help the district, to assist the district in providing a thorough and efficient education. We talk about the local levy, or more commonly property taxes, and that is actually an amount that's based on both property assessments, property values, and income of the district. And then we talk about district savings. And part of district savings is sort of what Mr. Lataraka just mentioned to the auditor in terms of surplus funds that may not be spent in one year and can be carried to the next year to help supplement the coming budget. So those are the 3 components that go into the budget and that get us to the totals. When we talk about the budget, we talk about the state's funding formula. And you've heard a bit about S2 and also how that S2 bill impacts the SFRA, the School Funding Reform Act. When the School Funding Reform Act was put together back in 2008, that was a system that was based on a model K-5 school. So the state looked at a model K-5 and looked at how that building should be staffed and the costs associated with that staffing, and came up with a base per pupil amount that would be needed on a sort of per student basis. And that didn't include special needs students or any other special circumstances or accommodations for students. That was on a, quote, base pupil. What they do is they then apply that number to the enrollment of the school district, and that's across the state. They look at additionally special ed needs. They look at other demographic needs. They look at ELL, transportation, those sorts of things. And then they do a weighted average for additional funding for those students. And then they also do sort of a breakdown with an additional weighting based on K-5 at 1 rate, which is a 1-to-1. Then a middle school 6 to 8 at a 1 point, which is weighted a little bit more. And then a high schooler, which again is that much more to educate a high school student. So they do the math on that and look at the enrollment of the district and how the enrollment breaks down based on those various weighted categories, and they come up with what's called an adequacy budget. So for Asbury Park, they run those numbers through the formula, and for the 2023 school year, they say we should be running the district on a budget of $43,040,237. They then take that number and then they look at the municipality and they say, okay, what can the local municipality afford to pay towards that $43 million? And again, as we looked at that second budget on the previous slide, they look at property values, property assessments, and they look at the income of the district. They take those two different areas and again apply weightings to them and come up with what they believe the local municipality should be providing towards that $43 million budget. For 2023, the calculation gives us $24,163,778. So that's what the state says the city of Asbury Park, the residents of Asbury Park, should be contributing to the $43 million school budget. They then look at those two numbers, do the subtraction, and arrive at the $18 million you see there, and that's how they determine what their state aid is going to be. So again, they look at the total cost, they look at what the city can provide, and the difference is what the state would provide in terms of aid. Again, the local taxes are based on property values and income, and there is this other thing floating out there that you've heard about, which is adjustment aid or hold harmless aid. That's something that's being addressed through the S2 bill. And if you go to the next slide, please. The S2 bill looks at sort of aid and whether or not a district is, quote, over-aided. So when they passed the School Funding Reform Act, there was a problem in that the numbers were going to change for districts. So the state said, we're going to hold harmless all districts, and we're going to make sure they get the same amount of aid in the current year that they got back in 2008. They were supposed to look at that over time and start reducing that. That did not happen until the S2 bill came along. And when the S2 bill came along back in 2018, it directly looked at that adjustment aid, of which we were receiving $24 million, and set forth a schedule based on percentages to take that back over time. So if you look at that chart, you can see the first column in 2018, the district was receiving $54 million in state aid. As we go through, you'll see the aid is decreasing, and the yellow, or the orange rather, bars represent what the state thinks the district should be given in terms of state aid. So the number there, the 27,014, the 26, the 20, the 14, those are amounts that the state is saying that Asbury Park is overfunded by the state. So those are the amounts that the S2 bill is beginning to claw back. And you see at the end of 2025, what the state says they should be providing in state aid in the blue bar, and what they will then provide us with in the orange bar are the same. So that's the end of the S2, that's the end of the clawback of, quote, over-aided dollars, and that puts us on par. You've heard, again, discussions about state aid and what the state aid losses have been for the district over the course of several years. Again, starting in 2018, the district lost just under $1 million in state aid, $981,000. And then over the course of 6 years to 2023, you can see the state has been reducing our aid. And over the course of those 6 years, the district has lost $26,139,837. And it's estimated by the end of 2025 that total will rise to about $36 million. So that's $36 million in state aid through 2025 that the district has lost or will be losing during that period of time. So the question obviously is, how do we make up that difference? And again, graphically, you can see from 2019 down to 2025, the sharp drop-off. Here we have our actual budget as of 2023 versus what the adequacy budget says. The blue bar represents our state aid. So our actual state aid on the left for 2023 is $29 million. And the local tax contribution is $15.8 million, which is the orange bar. On the right, you can see what the state projects the numbers should be. So the state projects that in 2023, The state aid portion should be 18.8 million, and the local contribution should be 24.1 million. So again, you can see the blue bars, the state aid is currently 29, they say it should be 18, and they're saying the local tax levy, which is currently 15.8, should be 24 million. Again, just to put that graphically, you can see the top orange line represents what the state says the local tax levy should be, and the blue line beneath is what the tax levy actually is. So those are funds that are being reduced in state aid, and they're expecting us to make that up in local taxes, and you can see those lines still have quite a bit of separation between the two. If you want to talk about municipalities and just taxes in general, if you look at the left bar, which is the county average of a municipality's general tax rate, and in Asbury Parks, it's about 1.52, I believe, per $100 of assessed value. But if you look at the county average, 55% of the town's taxes are allocated to schools. 31% is allocated to the municipality itself, and 15% of what's collected goes to the county. In the center, you can see Asbury Park. In Asbury Park, as of 2021, which was the latest figures when we put this together, 35% of the local taxes were going to the school, 49% were going to the municipality, and 16% was going to the county. If we look at some of our neighbors, in Neptune, 49% of their taxes were going towards education. In Long Branch, 46% were going towards education. So you can see there's a bit of a discrepancy there in terms of how that tax revenue is allocated between the schools, the municipality, and the county. We have some other Abbotts listed there in Newark, Trenton, Keensburg, Camden, and you can see that those districts as well, being former Abbotts, have a similar issue that we have here in Asbury Park in terms of the allocations and what goes to schools and what goes to the municipality. When we talk about the 2023 budget, as I said, we submitted the budget. It was reviewed by the county. There was some back and forth with the county. We discussed the budget with the finance committee. We discussed the budget with the full board. And we went back and looked at our budget for 2023. It made some adjustments to try and offset some of the losses that we've been seeing over the past several years. Some of that was to increase our revenue side by looking at the historical trend of our extraordinary aid. Extraordinary aid is money that comes to us sort of to supplement special ed costs. So we increased our revenues based on the historical trend there. We looked at our maintenance reserve, which was mentioned earlier, at around $350,000, I believe. $365,000. We're taking $150,000 out of that to help supplement our budget. We're looking at emergency reserves to help supplement cameras in the district, security cameras. And then we're repurposing grant funding. Again, we're looking at our ESSER funds. We're assessing how those ESSER funds are being spent and what the district's priorities are and what the projects are. And we're allocating some of those ESSER funds towards maintaining staff and maintaining positions within the district. So when we talk about the actual budget for 2023, we're looking at an operating budget, or the budget that's sort of used for the day-to-day expenses, of $49 million. We're looking at grants and entitlements of $19 million, and we have no debt. So our total budget is $68 million. When we talk about that $19 million in terms of grants and entitlements, you're talking about money that's allocated for very specific purposes. So we've heard some of the audience members talk about Title I and Title II and the various titles through ESSA, ESEA, through that act, which replaced the No Child Left Behind. And those funds are dedicated to very specific purposes based on the various titles that they come from. So we can't just use that money in sort of a way that just fills a hole that we think needs to be filled. Those have to go towards improvement of instruction or towards professional development, towards English language learners, those sorts of things. So we can't just use that money, any particular way we'd like. When you look at the allocation of our operating budget and where that money goes, and I think that was sort of mentioned, as is typical with most school districts, about 60 to 65% of the operating budget goes towards salaries and benefits. So you can see about 44% of our 49 million is going towards salaries, and another 18% is going to benefits. Asbury Park is a bit unique in that we have 3 charter schools. So charter school tuition is another area that the operating budget has to pay for, and that's another 21% of that $49 million. And that's between 11 and $12 million that's going out the door right to the charters. Another thing we don't have much control over is our out-of-district costs, our out-of-district placements for our special needs students. So again, we have 6% of the budget going out of that 49 million to help service our special needs students. Utilities was often mentioned, but utilities, as you can see, is a rather small portion of our overall budget. But what this says is that you're looking at things that we don't have a lot of flexibility with in terms of salary and benefits, charter school tuition, out-of-district tuition, and utilities that uses about 91% of that $49 million. The other 8% is what's left out of the 49 million. That's about $4.2 million, and that's what's left to go to supplies, to books, trips for the students, facilities, transportation costs, those sorts of things. So you can see there's, after the sort of mandatory out-the-door costs, you're looking at about 8% of that 49 million that's left available for other things. So that becomes very difficult when you talk about cost cutting and recognizing efficiencies in terms of where we have to go to make those cuts and how much is actually in that pot to be cut. When we talk about the tax impact and what the tax impact is going to be for the 2023 budget, here we have our 21-22 tax rate and our 22-23 tax rate. The 22-23 is based on raising $15,899,447. That's a $3 million increase in taxes over the prior year. And if you look at those assessed home values, you can see that the average assessment in Asbury Park is $453,060. The taxes, the educational portion of the taxes in 22 was about $2,600. That would increase to $3,000, or an annual increase of about $448, or $37 a month. So that would be the tax impact of the proposed increase that we have going forward for the 2023 school year. With that, I turn it over to any questions the board may have, or any other comments from members of administration.
I've got one question. I was just curious about, and by the way, I know this is really tough to sharpen the pencils and to try to make this budget work. It's like putting a square peg in a round hole sometimes. I had a question about what happens after 2025. Does it just stay at that same aid level, or what?
So the thinking behind the S2 bill, which expires in 2025, is that through the course of those 6 or so years, the districts that were over-aided would be pulled back into that level that the adequacy budget says the state should be providing in terms of aid, and that money that was clawed back from Asbury Park, for example, could then be repurposed to districts that may be underfunded based on how the monies are allocated right now. So if we go west into West Monmouth County, there's some districts there that have seen enrollment increases, but may not necessarily have seen similar increases in their state aid. So the S2 bill was put forward to sort of balance out those perceived inequities in terms of how aid was allocated throughout the state and throughout our county. And they're projecting that 2025, that Asbury Park would have enough time to raise our taxes to the point where that mix of state aid and taxes from the local community would balance to equal what they project is the adequate amount to educate kids in Asbury. So that's a long way around to say at the end of 2025, they're saying we should be sitting pat with the correct amount of aid and the correct amount of local taxes to spend to educate our students.
And what cost to our students? That's my question to them.
It's a political question, I guess. Any additional comments or questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Before we open up the public comment, we'll have a comment from our board lawyer, Adam.
Okay, we're going to be having public comment. If anyone would like to comment on any matter, including the budget presentation, now would be your time to do that. In accordance with Board Policy 0167, the Asbury Park Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and other matters of importance, and provides members of the public with the opportunity to express themselves on school matters of community interest. The public comment portion of the meeting is not a question and answer session, and all public comments shall be directed to the board president. Members of the public who wish to make public comments must be recognized by the board president and provide his or her name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable. All public comments shall be directed to the board president and are limited to 3 minutes in duration. Members of the public who do not follow the foregoing rules and/or interfere with the orderly operation of the board meeting may be removed from the meeting.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open up public comment.
Good evening, I'm Mrs. Anderson Bray. I reside in Asbury.
Excuse me, Ms. Anderson Bray, just so that we can all hear you. Thank you. If you could just pull that closer. Thank you.
I didn't know because the last time Ms. Cook was like, okay. Anyway, I'm Mrs. Anderson Bray. I'm the parent and advocate of John Asia Bray. I was looking at your slide. I'm really confused. You say you have a budget for trips, transportation, books, and all this. Last time my daughter went on a trip, I think she was in 3rd grade. Transportation, I'm not really sure what you mean about transportation, because if you ask me, I think every child in Asbury, being that it's not that big, should get transportation, being that when the time goes back, it's dark, and sometimes the children have to go get their younger siblings, so they're like passing home just to go get their sibling to go home, and it's dark. Books, I'm not really sure about the books, if you mean the grant that you got for the laptops. I'm really confused about where this money is going to and what you have written down and what you say that the money is going to, because I see that the children are just getting less and less, and every time I see you guys are smiling and in pictures like you accomplished something, and the bigger picture is the children are failing. You're failing them. What if their parents aren't educated? So they're being failed both ways, but you're getting this money. Like, where are you coming from? What difference are you making? You keep on talking about change and success. We need differences. We're always seeing change. We see change all the time. This change right now is not good because these dollars and cents are not adding up for your title, your accolades, the things you don't know, what money is going to. I don't see a difference. I need to see what trips. What trips? Where are they going? Where are they going? A trip to the hospital for a gunshot wound or something? Or a fight that happens in school? I mean, what are you guys really giving our kids? Honestly. You sit here in your fancy suits and I don't have a clue on your face and stuff. You celebrate this. You're talking about this. What's going on for these kids, though? You're not succeeding or helping these kids. You're not. And I'm tired of getting on this mic saying the same thing to a whole bunch of adults that have degrees. It's not making sense.
Good evening. My name is Sanja Mack. I'm a resident. I got everybody in the school system. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just coming to ask questions. Okay. My name is Sanja Mack. I live in Asbury. I'm a resident, and I got grandkids that go here. I'm just a person that's been advocating in the community, especially in the school system. And I'm trying to grasp the concept. That's why I'm here. But we don't have nobody working in the school systems already with these kids. There's nobody here. These people are understaffed, underworked. They in here early in the morning, killing themselves. Then I try to come in to save them. Even like Miss Bright, a couple of us who live for these kids. We come in, we go over to the board office. We can't get in. I done had applications in here for over 30 years, and now everybody on the chopping block. We need more people in here for these babies. These babies are not learning anything. They're not getting educated. And I really feel like the rest of these people should get applause for all the stuff they come and tolerate in the school system. And for them to be on the chopping block, I think is really scandalous. But everybody in big executive levels, they're not on the chopping block. Just the ones that got hands-on with our kids. That's not fair. Understand the budget, but understand these kids need education. It's not just about no money. When are they going to get properly educated in Asbury? These kids is no level. Half of them can't barely read. They're getting pushed through this whole system at kindergarten, preschool levels. Because why? The staff is overworked. They got 99 kids in the classroom. And these teachers can't do it by themselves. And now they getting cut. I'm just trying to come understand why I put my application in 1,000 times over there. And then I go for Kelly. Then y'all got Kelly Education in here. Oh, let's talk about Kelly Education. I go to them to get in, because I can't get in no other way, because it's a favoritism thing. If you mad at somebody, you ain't getting in. If you don't know somebody, you ain't getting in. This has been going on in Asbury 53 all my life. So I go in Kelly Education just to try to help raise our babies. And guess what? I finished the test, and one day I called the lady back. Oh, you finished? Yeah, I'm finished. But at the end of the day, they want to give me $12.63. I got degrees. I got $12 to come in here and deal with all the, not even the kids, all the grown-ups sometimes. It ain't about the kids. That's all I'm saying. I don't understand nothing about the Board of Ed. That's all I'm trying to say. Have a nice night, y'all.
Sheila Brazil. I don't need it anyway. I'm good. 1200, this is right there. 1200 Jeffrey Street. On the parental involvement policy I was talking about, I quoted the wrong thing, so I looked it up. And it's from the one in the district. It's 2415.04. And it was created April 2011, and it was last edited April 2011. So, that's the policy. Then parental involvement piece, and it tells you everything's supposed to be in there. And I want to piggyback, but not really piggyback, because I might be a little bit too heavy to be on somebody's back. But as far as the education and the teachers, this person getting ripped and that person getting ripped. Well, my son Anthony's 31. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and my kids always went here, middle school, high school. So, but everybody, we talking about the teachers, and I know it's hard, sometimes a hard job, and the kids, sometimes, you have some hard-headed kids, so, but anyway. But you got some good teachers in this district, and you got some bad teachers in this district. We're just gonna put it out there like it is. And it's sometimes my kids, you might get a good preschool teacher or a first grade teacher. So, but when that child move up, if this next teacher they go to is not a teacher that's gonna elevate them to go to the next level, they're not gonna be elevated. So you can't blame all the teachers, but you can blame some of the teachers. And then even it's a circle. Community, administration, parents, and teachers. It's a circle. It's everybody. So it takes everybody. It takes a village to raise a child. So it's like blame should go around to everybody, not just the teachers, not just the administration. So I'm saying that. Well, I said years ago, just rename the district and then rehire people, and then you weed out the ones that's not educating our kids. But I know we talking about the budget. I know the budget has been cut, but at the same time, like I say, you have good teachers and bad teachers. Been there, done that. But you could complain. You know, coming into this district, step one is not a whole bunch of money, but it's a lot more money than what you get. But at the same time, people need to realize that it's just not the teachers, it's everybody. So you shouldn't just be blaming everybody. Yes, they say, I'll be the first one to say, you cut the little people, the peons, but sometimes the administration need to be cut a little bit. Even just if you take a pay cut, maybe if you cut like 3 or 4 people, like try to, administration, you might save like $200,000 or $300,000. But I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm just here just to put everybody on blast. You know what I'm saying, so to speak? So it's just not the teachers. It's just not the administration. It's everybody. It's a community also and the parents. So y'all have a good night.
Hello. Thank you for that great presentation on the budget. And the way that was laid out, it was easy to understand. So you have 44.3% that's going to salaries. However, we don't know how that salary is being allocated or who it is being split amongst to make it a 44.3% on the salaries. So that goes back to my question or comment that I posed before about the cuts that you are proposing to make in regards to reduction of the force and which position should be eliminated and which position should be kept on. The other concerning matter here is charter tuition. Yes, Asbury Park has 3 charter schools. You have Hope Academy, Academy Charter, and College Achieve, in which you're putting out 21.3% of the budget to those charter schools. But you guys are saying, bring back your children and we won't have to put out that much. But what are you doing to rectify the reason why we took them out of this district in the first place? Have you guys ever considered doing exit interviews? Even my school does exit interviews when our students leave, asking what is it that we can improve? How can we make your education here better? We ask them that midway through their education of what it is that they like about the school, what they don't like about the school, what is it that they could improve on, how can we help meet their needs. A simple interest in the parents' concerns, a simple interest in the children's educational concerns can actually eliminate some of your students being removed from the district if we felt as though that our needs are being heard and our children's needs are being met. But that's not done because I took both my children out of the district and not a word was murmured except a transfer card. Utilities, 2%. It's not really that much, but have you guys considered sustainable energy? The other percentage is the 8.4 that you laid out for trips, books, facilities, supplies, and things of that nature. Now, I know when my children were going here, books wasn't really a thing. They had the Chromebooks, and of course, during the pandemic, we had the online learning, so there wasn't a need for books. But even before the pandemic, there was really no books being handed out. The supplies that the school has are given mainly by the parents. We get this entire supply list at the beginning of the school year that we need to bring for the children. And then not only that, as an educator myself, I know that the teachers are supplying most of the supplies for the school. Facilities, trips, to piggyback off of what one of the other parents said, trips are far and in between here. So I just feel as though that without having specifics on some of these things, the budget, the reduction of force just still isn't making sense. And I still don't see a reason to bring my child back into this district. I just don't. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Madam President and everyone else. My name is Maureen Casey and I reside at 1670 West Princeton Avenue in Brick. I'm a retired Asbury Park Public School District employee and I'm here to express my concerns in regards to tonight's board agenda that lists the reduction in force of approximately 28 certificated and non-certificated staff members. After hearing Mr. Hastings' wonderful presentation of about the budget, I understand a lot of things about the budget. I understand a lot of things about the money. I had a whole thing written up, but after hearing all that, we had such amazing special education programs in place. We trained so many people. We had things moving and grooving. We could have been carrying them on. There shouldn't be that many out-of-district placements. Okay, that being said, I have to get back on track or I'll run out of time. There have been many agendas over the years that have raised my blood pressure, and this is one of them. I'm still disheartened by the elimination of art teachers from the elementary schools. I was hoping to see them reinstated, but after seeing this insane list, I will continue to wish. I know I won't get any answers tonight, and that's fine. It's been made clear this is not a place for that, but I pray that you listen. I want to believe that you realize that post-pandemic events are on everyone's minds. With the population you are responsible for that were struggling pre-COVID are now even further behind. I know you are all in the business of money and budgeting, but the people on this list are in the business of educating and building social and emotional skills during this new normal. You just honored 3. A paraprofessional, a guidance counselor, and a school psychologist as staff members of the month. The first one on the list really threw me for a loop. A technology coach, when so many students, staff, parents still need assistance after the world went virtual. I know we are back in person, but the need is still there and will continue to be. The second one hit me home the hardest since this professional took a portion of my job over, and the caseloads for speech and language specialists keep growing with all the 3-year-olds entering our district that had to wear masks and missed out on verbal interactions during the pandemic, not to mention every other student use service. I will group the next 3 since I am dumbfounded that during a time when our students need extra services to express their anxiety, depression, etc., you are going to eliminate a school psychologist, a social worker, and a guidance counselor. 7 elementary school teachers, seriously? So you can increase class size? So your students can fall farther behind as they struggle to focus with more students in a class? As far as the non-certificated staff, I'm sorry, did we change the physical makeup of the district since I retired in June? You repaired and cleaned everything that needs to be fixed and prevented, all cleaning issues, everything. 4 security officers, I read about intruders and violence. Please, cutting back on that. Are we fixing it with the cameras? I have always offered solutions when I was made aware of issues that concern me. Well, I'm concerned. The district has approximately the 390 employees. Do we really need someone to supervise the 3 amazing women who are handling HR on their own? A very highly paid person, I might add. I know without a budget you can't run a school.
Ma'am, your time is up.
Please consider.
You can take your turn. You can take your turn. Or somebody else go.
Hello, my name is Dominique Wilson, 1026 Monroe Avenue. Where'd you leave off, ma'am? I'll finish it.
Where is it?
I
know without a budget, you can't run a school district, but please consider looking at the employees that never make contact or impact the students' education on a daily basis. With Twitter and so many other social media outlets, why do we need a highly paid employee? So many employees are doing great jobs of informing us all of the amazing things going on in the district. Listen, I would love everyone to keep their job, but as you say, that can't be done with all the monetary cuts. But please look more closely at where the cuts happen. Please walk around central office and think how Parent Center shop, think how that person changed the person's life. Also, if you would raise the rate of pay for substitutes, like we discussed for years, I will gladly enroll with Kelly Services, but I can't afford the gas and tolls. You are losing out on highly qualified and experienced professionals.
That was me. You're losing out on me. You're losing out
And
on
from
me.
this is my own personal comments, sitting here in the audience watching you guys' faces just goes to show how much you do not care. The four of you have nonchalant faces. It's like you don't care about our kids and nothing that anybody is saying, and it's sad to look at. And I personally, I have a child, and I've never put my kid in this district because when I was growing up, my mom said, "Don't ever come to Asbury." And now I would never bring my kid here, and you're gonna never get more kids here. Why? Because look at you. You do not care. Your face doesn't care, Mr. Adams. You, Miss President, do not care. None of you guys care. Miss Carroll, I heard from a bunch of people that you're from the state and you get a lot of money and all you do is complain about the money our kids get, and you do nothing. Look at you guys' faces, and I'm so sad to be here. This is my first time coming here, and I'm disgusted with you guys. And your actions, the budget was not, it wasn't like pleasing. It wasn't anything, like she said, it was very broad. My mom provides a bunch of money out of pocket for her kids. She's a special education teacher. She also has never been on a trip for her kids. So what's up with that? Where's the trips at? Where's the books? They got a bunch of papers. They're getting copies of papers. They don't have physical books. And then you guys got money for their Chromebooks. And yet y'all want to charge parents for Chromebooks. Like, what are y'all really doing? Y'all should be sad, and y'all would never send your kids here. I promise you wouldn't. But you want us to bring our kids back here. My kid goes to College of Chief, and they're amazing. But they're beyond amazing. Their teachers are amazing. Their high-ups are amazing. Even the Board of Education in Neptune is amazing. And they don't give us the energy that you guys are giving right now. And disgusted.
Tracy Rogers, Sewell Avenue. I'm sorry I'm late. I didn't get a chance to see this amazing budget. But I was at the council meeting talking about people being pushed out of Asbury Park. If you've read the paper for the last couple of days, you see what I'm talking about. I get up here every day that I can and talk to this board. And I've asked for a couple of things: an assessment, a true assessment. And I've talked to the parents, I've talked to the teachers, I've talked to the children. I've asked for, is every person being evaluated? If you go to any corporation, people are evaluated. Can anybody here tell me we have 100% evaluation on everybody? Where's the assessment that I asked for? We have to change this budget because of mishaps that have gone on in Asbury Park for years. But we've had the money. But now we're reducing it, and these kids are going to suffer. Right now, I'm a fair person. I really am. The story that came out of the Asbury Park Press, it got there. 90% of the information came from me. And I've taken my time, and I got not one dime for standing up here or doing anything. But I've asked for an assessment. One person to pull me aside, take an hour, and explain questions I had. We're getting rid of 28 people. Do we evaluate what our needs and necessity is in this district? I'm at a point that more things are going to happen in this city because investigations are going to happen. Things are going to be researched. But the worst of all, our kids are not going to get the education they deserve. A PAC article that says we're 304 out of 304 districts for SATs when we can't even meet that standard. When we talked about we improved. We're the lowest. I would never have my kids do that. So I've asked for simple things. When will people grow up and stop pointing blame and let's get something done? I just want an assessment. I got questions. I've researched. I'm educated. You can't believe it? Look at the story in Asbury Park. 90% of the information was mine. I'm not letting anybody off the hook. Things are going to be different. And I said I'm not going anywhere. So let's decide.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Hamilton. I live at 84 Creek Road in Keansburg, New Jersey. I'm a 22-year classroom veteran in Asbury Park and 2019-2020 Teacher of the Year. I'm sorry I'm late. Someone made the bright decision to have parent-teacher conferences on not just a regular Board of Education night, but on a night where we are cutting staff. I find that incredibly insulting. And the fact that our administrators from our schools were called here, and great that we gave out a presentation, but there was no administrator in my school during conferences. I find that insulting, and many parents at our conferences tonight were outraged that there was not one person in the building to help them along. And they didn't even know that there was a Board of Education meeting because it was not 48 hours. They didn't know that so many staff are being riffed. We should be ashamed, all of us should be ashamed of ourselves for that little misstep, which I don't think was a misstep. I think that was purposely planned. I find it weird that, yes, 3 active union members from my school, Martin Luther King, we were at our conferences so we couldn't be here. Not just coincidence. I beg this board to reconsider and ask more questions about not just the budget, but why these cuts are happening. We just hired 2 new administrators at what, $1.50 a piece, plus benefits? That's $400,000 that could be saved. Most districts with more student population have 1 director or supervisor of curriculum and instruction that handles everything. We have 5, 6, 7. We need to reevaluate our central office staff. You can't keep cutting special education teachers. You can't deny that we don't have issues with children needing extra services. You can't pretend the problem's not there and make it go away. That's not reality. You can't lay off psychologists. We barely have enough security to handle the nonsense that's going on in all of our schools. And if you think everything's hunky-dory in the schools, then please get into the schools and walk around. Talk to some parents. Talk to students that are taking their kids again this year, just like last year, and moving their kids to charter school because they don't feel safe in our schools. We can't keep doing this smoke and mirrors game where we're talking about budgets. We got nearly $24 million in ESSER funds, and nobody knows where that money is. There's not one accounting, not from the state monitor, not from anybody about where a penny of that went. And I find it hard to believe we spent $20-something million on solar panels when we still have an elevator that doesn't work in Martin Luther King School. I spoke about that back in October and how it forced a teacher out because she had mobility problems. And guess what? It's still broken. Still broken. You need to reconsider this about cutting staff. You can't keep cutting the soldiers that do the work every day. Cut some of the people that walk around through the classrooms and just like to critique people. And will refuse to teach a lesson, refuse to show me the right way to do things. I feel like you go to karate school and the instructor tells you to do this particular move, but the instructor will not show you how that move should be done. That's what's going on in this district right now. Let's stop pretending that everything's hunky-dory and let's stop worrying about little picture opportunities and get down to business. Please reconsider these cuts. It's not doing anything for anyone. And you want to cut? Look at that bloated central office. Look at that $250,000 a year rent you're paying there. And I hear talk about, Barack Obama might be opening up again next year. It wasn't good enough for central office. I don't know how it's going to be good enough for students again. So think about that also when we find out in October or we'll find out in August that our kids are going to be going back over there. I beg you to reconsider this. This is a terrible, terrible decision. And the people who made this decision should be held accountable for it. Shame on them. Thank you.
Anyone else? At this time, I'll close public comment.
Madam President, I would like a consent agenda, but I'll call to your attention on on B1, letter B, number 2, should be 2. I'd like to call it into the minutes. Item on B1, letter B, number 2, should be 2 numerically, not 1. I'd like to call it into the minutes. And then I'll ask for consent agenda on all items from B1 through B7.
I'll move it.
I'd like to have some discussion on
You have to second it first.
Second. Yeah, no, I'd like to have some discussion. Is it okay if I go? Okay. Regarding the reduction in force. I want to just, it may take a little bit of time. I just want to go over and see how many of these positions are left once we reduce the ones that are there. Because I just want to wrap my head around it a little bit. And so with that, so we have the reduction in force, the certificated staff. We remove one technology coach. How many are left? And I don't know who to direct that to, so.
We would have 3 remaining.
3 remaining, okay. And if we remove one speech language specialist, how many speech language specialists will we have left?
I can get you the roster control for all of those positions as I do not have them right in front of me.
Okay.
As the
Yeah, I just want to, my main concern is that we're not left where we have one of each of these specialized folks kind of running from one school to another. I realize and appreciate the fact that these cuts, some of them are really necessary, but I just wanted to just go through it so I have a clearer picture.
Mr. Guerrillo, with all due respect, you do understand that we are underfunded by $24 million from the local municipality. As our first initial budget, we put $6 million towards our first budget, which we had been informed that we had to go back and reallocate additional ESSER funds to close that gap.
Yep.
Of those $3 million, of those funds, we've saved 35 positions. Those decisions in terms of the additional cuts did not come from without some painstaking conversations, as well as meetings that were addressed with the municipality. And if you look at the budget presentation that was presented today, this district has been underfunded by the local municipality for a number of years. And so I think it should be very clear that we have done above and beyond looking at saving as many jobs, given the dynamic of the underfunding that we have gotten from a tax base that is sitting on equity of at least $200,000 to $300,000 per home. And when we look at a cost of $37 increase, that is far and under away what we should be getting in terms of $24 million. So we're still being shorted $9 million from the local municipality to close that $24 million gap. So if the local municipality was funding us at the 24 required $1 million, these cuts would not even be a consideration. So to sit here and ask to go over a budget roster of how many positions we have, how many positions we're cutting, I don't want to cut a soul.
I didn't say you.
Hold on,
I didn't
one
say you
second.
wanted to.
No,
I don't think anyone here wants to.
The question is being asked, and it needs to be answered. Okay? None of these positions are one-off positions, but none of these positions are positions that I said last month that I wanted to balance the budget on the backs of staff, and I was very clear on that. And so these 3 additional meetings that we've had in order to right-size this budget, looking at these numbers, looking at the amount that we're getting, and the fact that next year the budget is going to be far more severe, to ask me to give you a number of staff of how many we have social workers in our district right now without having a roster control is like asking me how many students are in Miss Tabino's 6th grade math class in 3rd period. So again, sitting here not having that information does not help to resolve the issue in terms of the budget cuts, which are far and out of our control.
So, again, I'll say it again. I appreciate everything that's been going on because I've been at all the different meetings. My question wasn't about anyone's dedication or commitment to the children. I think everyone here, including the parents, including everyone on the board, is committed to our teachers and to our students and to our staff and to our school district, whether or not we have kids in the school district. So I want to get off of that because I'm appreciative of the fact that this is going on. I'm just asking because I'd like to get a clearer picture as a school board member, okay, who's missing his daughter's birthday dinner right now. I'd like to know, I'm going to use this time as best as I can, with all due respect to everyone here, I'd like to just know who remains if one psychologist is cut? Who remains if one social worker is cut? Who remains if one ISS teacher is cut? I'm just asking to get a better and clearer understanding so that way my vote is an informed vote. And I'm saying this with all the respect possible to everybody here because we all work really damn hard to make sure our kids get educated in the face of S2, in the face of the tax increases and the cuts. And by the way, the solar panels were free. And whoever said that, just, we're not spending anything on solar panels. But here's the thing. Nobody knows this, that Solar Landscape won an RFP for the district and is providing free electricity for at least 15 years. A combined 1.37 megawatts of solar. We're saving 1,000 metric tons of carbon emissions and over $100,000 a year by offsetting over half of our electrical use. I know that, but there's a department in the school district that should put that information out. I went to an unveiling yesterday and there was no press there. So yeah, I've got issues with some of the stuff on here, and that's why I just want to know, with all due respect, the idea behind cutting these people. Not that we shouldn't, okay, but I just want to make sure what's left once that one position is cut, because then I could justify it to people saying, well, we cut one psychologist, but we have 3 remaining. We cut one ISS person, but we have 1 remaining or 2 remaining. That's the only reason I'm asking. So if it's okay, I'd like to at least get an idea, even if it's ballpark. I don't need to know an exact number. I'd like to know, how many is left when we cut 1 guidance counselor.
Dr. Gibson, would you provide him with that information, please?
Yeah, Madam President, may I, Mr. Grillo, I know that you're trying to get a greater picture, but when you get the agenda a couple days before the meeting and you have concerns about what the bigger picture is and who's left to get you a better understanding so you can be informed when you vote, the thing would be to reach out to the superintendent and get those answers. So when you come to this board meeting and at that one agenda item, you already have the answers that you can comfortably vote you're conscious of whether it's going to be yes or no. But I agree with Dr. Adams is that he doesn't have the roster here. He's not here to have a back and forth about who's left, who's not left. That should have been taken care of before we come to the meetings, as all board members should be informed when they get here.
Ms. Lozinski, I understand. And
So you just have to-
normally I would, again.
But this is not the time to go back and forth about the entire roster of who's left.
Why not?
Because nobody's prepared. If you wanted those answers, you should have asked before you
It could even
came.
be a ballpark.
That's not fair. You can't give, because somebody's gonna quote somebody on this dais, and they're gonna hold them to that quote, and if they're wrong, it's gonna be all over
Well, my
whatever.
other question is, why am I the only one that's asking this? Am I just being?
Because-
No, please, no. I'm serious. This is not about.
all already know. You're the one that didn't reach out to find out.
Maybe I don't know, and please do not clap. This is serious stuff. I'm not asking for applause.
Because maybe I've already asked those questions. Maybe I've had the discussion already.
Okay,
Because
so can you tell me?
I'm not gonna go through it right now.
I'd like to know if it's possible.
Then you should get it from
Can I
the
get an
HR
email to me
director.
at least?
Dr. Adams did tell you that they're gonna provide you with that information.
Madam President,
Okay.
I would also like to point out another reason why Dr. Adams and I'm going to say administration is reluctant. Every one of these positions, the people in them right now have bumping rights.
Mhm.
So to give you a position of who's left and how many, who it's going to be and all of this is just not fair, I don't think, to the teachers. If I were head of the union, I would be concerned right now that the district, it seems, has been flooded with misinformation to begin with. Somebody standing up and saying we don't know where $24 million went to a few minutes ago. Yes, we do. We just had an accountant who audited the district, and we had to account for every single penny to him that the district spent. So for somebody to make the statement that nobody knows what's going on and where the money is just absolutely wrong. And you sit and you try to give people the opportunity to express themselves, but misinformation is as dangerous as having no information. And right now, I would say, because of the number of times that this budget has had to be changed, because of the number of times we have negotiated this budget with the county, and we haven't mentioned them tonight, but Dr. Richens and the county business administrator have been aware of what is happening with the Asbury budget every step of the way. We have met and talked with them 2 and 3 times a week, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. So it hasn't been done in isolation. And if there were any way possible, I can say this, and I don't know everybody here, but I know there's not one person at this table that enjoys cutting anybody's job. We as a nation have gone through hell in the last couple of years. Everybody knows that. And I don't think there's anybody who hasn't been affected by it. So everybody has had somebody lose a job or be tremendously disappointed, devastated over their plight right now of what's happened in this country and to everybody. And most important, our children. We don't even know, and Maureen made good reference to it with the emotional and social learning issues. We don't even know the impact on our children that COVID and the loss of education in this country is going to eventually result in. We don't even know a kid losing 2 years because it's never happened in the history of this country. So some of the answers, they're good questions. I won't argue that one. But please don't make the assumption, as someone said, we don't care because we're expressionless. We don't, that's totally wrong, first of all. And secondly, well, you can have your opinion and I can have mine.
We're supposed to be
All right?
expressionless.
And don't, please, think for 1 minute, nobody cares. Because these people aren't paid. They get absolutely not 1 penny for representing your children and you. And they sit here and take many times a lot of abuse. Now, granted, they don't have to, but they're doing that because they care about children and they care about the schools and they care about this city. I've seen that. That's the one thing I can convey to Trenton when I go to meetings. People here care. And they care. That, that's not the problem, not caring. So I just want to remind everybody, this is not quite as simple as it might seem to be able to rattle off who's going or who would be affected by this. Our HR director is working with a company to double check to make certain that all of the records that she has inherited in that department are accurate before anybody is notified that they will not have a job. And that's some of the hesitation in it. And I apologize, but it's kind of tough just sitting here quiet every week, particularly because I've never been quiet in my life, but thank you.
I appreciate what Carol said, because there's way too much rumor and falsehoods that get brought up, and we're supposed to, as a board, remain expressionless and take in the information. And that's part of the reason why I always complain about communication, and to make sure that we can counter these lies and these rumors. They are lies, a lot of them. So forgive me if I'm a little enthusiastic about this and I want to get as much information out there and recorded, so so folks understand where this is coming from and how it's coming from. I do have one technical thing that I wanted to ask. I have to abstain from a particular item. And Adam, do you know which item that is? Because I can't find the number.
Mr. Grillo, I believe you're referring to item C4, number 11 on the business agenda. C4, number 11.
Okay, thank you. And the only other thing I'm going to say is I get a little concerned because of what Carol also said in terms of Ms. Morris said about the mental health of our kids. And one of the reasons why I want to ask is because when I see a speech language specialist and a psychologist and a social worker getting cut, it brings me concern because of everything that's gone on in terms of the mental health of our kids. I deal with it on a daily basis with my child. And so that's the intent of wanting to know this thing. And if it comes in an email form, that's fine too. But the reason why I ask these is because of what's been going on and the mental health crisis that we're experiencing right now with our kids. So with that, thank you.
Motion is all items B1 through B7. Ms. Lozinski?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes.
Microphone, please. Thank you.
Yes on everything except for with B1, number 2, Ms. Jackson, that's a no. And I'm also going to abstain on B1, 1A, since I don't have the information.
Thank you. Ms. Halls?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
No.
Ms. Ms. Ricks?
Yes on everything except,
Microphone, please.
yes on everything. I'm abstaining on anything that have to do with awards.
Thank you. Mr. Saunders?
Yes on everything except for B1, number 1. No.
Ms. Cook? Motion's carried. Now I was going to do them next. Could I have a motion for page A2, number 10 and 11? That's the minutes and the calendar.
Move it.
Moved by Ms. Cook, second, Mr. Grillo. Any questions or comments? Ms. Cook? Mr. Grillo?
Yes.
Ms. Alls?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Ricks? Mr. Saunders?
Yes.
Ms. Lozinski? Motion's carried. Board members, we're going to vote on the C section. I just want to note the adjustment that was mentioned earlier in the meeting on number 5 with the revised budget resolution. With that, could I have a motion for all items C1, number 1 to C6, number 15?
Move it.
You said C1 number what? C1
C1, number 1
to where?
C6, 15.
I've got one question on one of the agenda items. With C39A, that's the Monmouth Ocean Educational Services, it's resolved that we approve the agreement to provide nursing services throughout the school year. Well, I guess the one question is, don't we already have nurses, or is this hiring those nurses?
This is also for substitute nursing services?
Right. Okay, because it says nursing services / substitute nursing
Yes.
services, so that's
And
why.
field trip nurses.
Right. So that, but
This covers a variety of things, field trips, substitutes if a nurse is absent.
Okay.
As well
On
as.
an as-needed basis.
as needed, okay.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Ricks?
Sorry. I have a question on C3HA. Should I abstain from that?
My suggestion to any board members who are listed in trainings would be that the board members abstain as it relates to themselves only. So for example, Ms. Ricks, if this is to approve your attendance at a workshop or conference, my suggestion would be that you vote yes then to all with the exception of that which mentions you or applies to you.
Thank you. This is all items C1, number 1 to C6, 15. Mr. Grillo?
Yes, I'm abstaining on C4, number 11.
And also, Mr. Grillo, any other item that refers to you, such as C4,
Yes,
C3.
anything, yes, and anything that refers to me or Sustainable Jersey.
Ms. Cook? Ms. Halls?
No.
Mr. LaTorraca?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes on everything except C2 number 5.
Are you abstaining or no?
You said
Abstain or no?
no.
Thank you. Ms. Ricks?
Yes, except I abstain on C4, item 11, and C3, item 8 that pertains to my name.
Thank you. Mr. Saunders?
Yes.
Ms. Lozinski?
Yes.
Madam President, I have a
All items carried. Thank you.
I have a request from the board for a May 19th meeting. I'm asking if the board would allow me to attend virtually if I'm able to. I'm having surgery on the 18th. If somebody can make a motion and allow me to.
Second.
So, Ms. Lozinski can participate virtually on the May 19th meeting. Mr. LaTorraca? Mr. Grillo?
Yes.
Ms. Halls?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Riggs?
Yes.
Mr. Saunders?
Yes.
Ms. Lozinski?
Yes.
And Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Thank you.
I do have one question, if I can ask. We had spoken about looking at or reaching out to the DCA about the shared service incentive program that we have. I just wanted to see if there was any progress on that, or if we were still good with intending to look into that at least.
Yes, as we discussed in finance, I think last month,
Yeah.
that's something that we will look into. We're getting over this hurdle, and then we'll start on that.
Awesome.
Can I make a general comment? Appreciate everyone's patience if we're about to wrap it up. Just wanted to point out from where I'm sitting, I appreciate many of the comments and I take notes. I don't intend that I know everything, did not know about the parental involvement policy and something to follow up on. Someone made a suggestion about exit interviews with parents that I noted, which I thought was a good idea, or assessments to follow through with the HR director, that we are doing assessments for everyone. I appreciate those kinds of comments. But I can't let this meeting go without a general comment as well. I heard name calling. I heard impugning of individuals' character based on how they looked. I heard allegations that administrative error was intentional, and I heard no facts to support such unsubstantiated allegation. Please know that if you'd like to come and do all those things, I guess you have a right to, but you're not going to be convincing me of anything. If you'd like to convince me personally, I appreciate a rational, factual statement and response to what it is that you're here to discuss. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, real quick, I wanted to express my pleasure and amazement at the Earth Day exposition at Thurgood Marshall School. I attended it the other day, and the kids came up with some great projects. They were very eloquent in explaining all their little things they had done. It was wonderful. The school is clean. The walls are brightly decorated with things all over, student work, billboards, very, very bright, and just a nice atmosphere. And I just wanted to say something publicly about it, because it's been a little while since I've been in Thurgood Marshall. And anybody gets a chance to go through the school, it's quite a sight to see. And I appreciate the teachers and the administration that went into creating the environment over there. Not to say that any other school isn't the same, I just haven't been to those schools lately. But I just wanted to make a comment about the science, or the Earth Day fair over there. It was excellent.
I'm glad you brought that up because we went to the solar reveal for the solar panels, right? That I mentioned before, and one, it's great to have all the board members that showed up. It was President Cook and Ms. Ricks, Mr. LaRocca, myself, Mr. Remy was there, and one thing that was really cool was you see all these solar panels, and you think about kind of the future and how we are being, sustainably minded and thinking about our future generation. But the other part that sometimes people forget is we had a chance to look at the solar panels, look out the window of the high school, and admittedly, I want to spend more time in that high school because it's just a beautiful, beautiful campus. Historically, right? And it's phenomenal to see that our kids have that incredible treasure of that high school. Whenever I hear somebody mention, sometimes when you're knocking on doors, you hear people say, "Oh, you should sell the high school and build more condos," or something like that. Man, it just drives me up a wall. Mr. Remy said that, mentioned that the other day. Just once in a while, take a moment to take a stroll around the campus, even from the outside, and take a look at how beautiful that high school is. It's really something. It's a treasure for the whole city. So.
Motion to close?
Second.